Hey, welcome everyone. Tonight we are playing a blast from the past. We're playing Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, based on the Jim Jarmusch film of 1999. This RPG has been taunting me from its shelf for 20 years now. Finally, we're going to get to play it. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm GMing. And tonight we were playing in kind of dual mode, two player characters. And let's go from left to right on the character keeper and start with Puckett.
Hi there, I'm Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. Do you also want me to introduce my character at this point?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Tonight I'll be playing Huang Chen, who is commonly called Peter. He is an aging, well, to most of the world, he's an aging cook in a Chinese restaurant. To the triad that sponsored him in his immigration, he's known as a special forces operative for the People's Liberation Army who advised North Vietnamese forces during the Vietnam War. And he has a much more useful set of skills, to them anyway, than his ability to fry things up, namely his skills with pistols, rifles, bows, swords, and pretty much anything else that can cause someone to expire prematurely.
Cool. And Clint.
I'm Clint, he, him. I'm playing Ricky Rocket. He's a young rookie detective. He joined the police academy to piss off his dad, who wanted him to go to medical school. He graduated top of his class. He's very vain, cocky, and sharp-witted. Thank you.
And how has Clint gotten, or how has Ricky gotten involved in this world, this underworld?
I feel like he was probably quite rebellious as a youth, and kind of did everything that his dad told him not to, and ended up just getting involved with people. Maybe he like held up a few liquor stores here and there, just something small, like. But he ended up getting mixed in with some of the underworld mob people, and as a cop, he's a valuable resource to them. So he gets paid small amounts so far, just to kind of do some small grunt work for the mobs, mostly like tipping them off to things that the cops are up to, and the occasional destroying of evidence here and there. And he gets paid well for it. So he is torn between doing the right thing and the money that the mob is paying him.
Nice. Okay. So I think let's start with you, Puckett. Where do we find Huang Chen on an average day when we're not gonna really see him, doing his thing? If it's not an exciting time, that's up to you. But I just want to get a quick snapshot of a day in the life for Quiet Assassin.
He is in a kitchen that is approximately 104 degrees, sweating profusely, getting orders yelled at him in Cantonese, and trying to keep up. And it's just plate after plate. It's not a particularly nice Chinese restaurant. It's one of those places that has like a couple of folding tables and some plastic chairs if you want to dine in, but it's mostly takeout and delivery. So, yeah, a lot of Americanized Chinese food, lo mein, fried rices, General Tso's chicken, just the stuff that you expect. But it's very fast paced, and you can tell that he's tired.
So, is this kind of like an open, like, are you stuck behind a kind of a sliding door in the kitchen? Can you see who's in the storefront ordering, or are you cloistered away?
Oh, the front register has a view straight into the kitchen. It's a small kitchen. It's not it's very much a storefront Chinese mall or Chinese restaurant in a strip mall.
Yeah.
So pretty much everything is visible everywhere. But during the days, he works here unless he gets a call, at which point the owner of the restaurant knows that he is to be allowed out of work for the remainder of the day or until he can return.
Sure. So I like to maybe maybe I like to imagine that there's like a special order, which when you get a slip in, is what tells you to go, um, to hang up your apron and to walk out the back, right? Some kind of message that the that you get.
Yeah, it's a particular order for cashew chicken.
Cool. And right, we know that he's got a bad hip, and he's quite old, so working in this kitchen at a hard job is not particularly easy for him. Anyone here working that you're especially fond of, or who kind of takes care of you, even if they're not exactly sure why you're still working here?
Yeah, it's kind of a common thing in, at least in these circles, that you have, your actual name, and then there's the name that you have so that the Americans can actually call you something. That's the name you wear on your tag. And there's a kid here named Dave. And his name is actually Dave. He's a runner. He comes in and out. He takes the orders. He's a college student. He's a nice enough kid. He's trying to learn Cantonese. We're never going to be able to fix that accent. He's always going to, the handful of phrases that he will pick up in Cantonese are always going to be spoken in a way that, even if it was on the phone, everybody could tell that he is a 20-something white dude from Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think he is. Yeah, maybe I think maybe the general way is that you just order up and put things in the bags and put them on the shelf, right? But I think Dave kind of wants to spare you that extra job, and he comes into the kitchen and helps you load up and chats about whatever he's doing right now in his life. Um, um, he's taking classes for something, and he's struggling, and he's
He
not quite
thinks he
sure
has a
how he's
head
going
for
to get through.
business. He's taking business administration courses at the local community college,
Yeah,
trying to get his associates. And he doesn't have a head for math.
yeah. Um, which would be useful for someone doing deliveries, right? Counting money all the time. But hey, maybe, okay. Anything else you want to add to the scene, Puckett?
No.
Okay, cool. So Clint, how about Ricky? What's a day in the life looking like for him?
Well, I added a picture of his 67 Mustang down at the bottom of the character sheet if you wanted to look at it. It's a little rusted up, but he likes it a lot. So this scene starts with him falling asleep on his desk at the station, and his chief comes over, kicks the back of his chair, and wakes him up. And just starts berating him for being asleep on the job when he could be out doing something.
Yeah, what's the chief's name?
That's a great question. I'm terrible at names. Let's find a good chief name.
Well, Puckett's already hit our one Dave limit, so it can't be Dave.
Yeah, no, that's let's see. Haven't pulled up my normal name generator yet. Let's see. His last name's Griffin. Joseph Joseph Griffin.
And is your relationship with the chief usually this damaged, or?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's necessarily damaged. I think this guy has known me forever. He may have been like my softball coach or baseball coach in Little League. So he probably had high hopes for me at one point. And so to see me just like sleeping at my desk just is pissing him off. So it's mostly kind of the you're better than this mentality towards him, towards me.
So, hey, Rocket.
Nah.
You've got a stack of files on your tray. I hope you're just terrible at paperwork and you've solved all those crimes.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, pick one. Which one should I do first?
Do the paperwork on or actually solve?
Both?
Listen, there's this guy, and I think he puts a new file on your pile.
Cool.
There's this guy, real piece of work. We suspect that he's been involved in, GBH, battery, the usual stuff. But like, we know he's guilty of a lot more. So it'd be great if we could get this guy back in the system. Like, show him he can't just be swanning around doing whatever, God knows what. Name is Giles.
Okay.
He's got a one of these I don't know, the 16th precinct have a stack of cases on them. Never went anywhere. A lot of witnesses disappearing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So,
but be careful, mob connections, so take him seriously.
I got this. So I grabbed the little folder, and without even opening it to look to see if there's anything I should read beforehand, I grab my jacket and my keys and head down to the parking garage. Fire up the Mustang.
Okay. And I presume that you're not working with a partner, right? Or cutback such that partners just aren't the thing.
I like the idea that there's been cutbacks, and we're all kind of like having to solo it until we need backup.
Cool. Yeah. So, like, who do you know over at the 16th precinct who might have taken a bite at this guy before?
There's another detective over there named Vargas.
Okay.
Like that.
And
he was my I don't know what term you would use for it. He was my first partner. He's the guy that taught me the ropes, and he's been a detective for a good like 10 years. So
cool.
But we were able to like stay friends, and so.
And do you think he's the kind of detective that, mightn't have been good enough to catch this guy, or he's just marking time, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that Vargas is actually like a legit like good cop.
Okay.
Like he's very by the book. He knows that I'm like mixed up in things, and he gives me a hard time about it. And like, it's like the big point of contention in our relationship is that the fact that he knows what other things I'm doing is upsetting to him, and he doesn't want to turn me in because we're friends, but he also like really, he's hesitant to help me sometimes because of that.
Okay, sure. So, Puckett. Let's say this guy, if this guy Giles is a mobster, who might your competitors in Cleveland be in this regard? Is this like a rival operation muscling in, or just people you have to live with?
When I came here, we largely had most crime in the city under our thumb. And over the past few years, there's been an organization in Cincinnati that's been attempting to make inroads. And I think Giles might be their point person, or at least the person who's heading up the efforts to disrupt our businesses here. He may have a few low-level thugs underneath him. He may be the point person, but he is definitely a person of interest to, well, the organization that sponsored me.
Cool. So yeah, I think you. What does Huang do? After hours, does he have hobbies, or what does he spend his time doing on when he's not cooking or doing a job?
It's a little silly, but when the weather's nice, particularly during summer when it's not supposed to rain, I have a finch, and I will take the finch and put it into a special cage, and I will walk down to park about a block and a half from my apartment, and I will hang the tree. I'll hang the cage in a tree and let the finch get some fresh air.
That is very ghost dog. So yeah, so you got this nice, park, but I guess it's never going to be totally quiet, right? There's going to be people jogging or taking picnics if the weather is nice and all that kind of stuff. And
Well, and there's a playground there, but it's
yeah,
it's nice to hear children yelling and giggling as they chase each other around and climb on things.
and yeah, you're maybe in the center or on a path where you can kind of see what's going on. Hang up the finch's cage on a tree and just take it all in. Are you the kind of I guess what's the right word? Are you a fixture in this park? Do people like come up to talk to you or nod as they pass? How friendly are you with the usual other denizens of this park?
I'm largely invisible. There are, every once in a while, one of the children gets curious, but parents tend, even though I'm older, parents are still wary of a single man in a park.
Sure.
So I mostly sit and I'll click my tongue at the bird and I'll listen to him sing. And, I always have some seed in my pockets for the pigeons and sparrows that happen to be around.
So is this a situation where if Ricky is looking for a lead, um, he might ever talk to Huang, or is that this only like break in case of emergency?
I don't know. What do you think? You think Ricky would just kind of wander around for chats, or do you think he just comes by when he's got a question about a case, or?
Yeah, I think like Ricky has a hunch about you. And so he comes up and he asks you questions. Maybe you give him information sometimes, maybe, and it's not very detailed information.
It's probably, I would imagine that it's actually kind of opaque.
Yeah.
Like you have, like if you know the world, you might be able to infer something useful from it, but otherwise it's kind of cryptic.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was trying to think of. It's kind of like I'll come up to you, like, for example, like, for a person where I'm trying to find, and like I'll come and ask you if you know anything about them, and you just kind of tell me this weird story that's very abstract, and
How my mother used to make tea.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I get you. And like I may use that as like a way of steering my own thoughts.
And every once in a while, there's something in there that approaches actually decipherable information. Like that time that I asked you if you like pistachio ice cream, and you thought about it and realized there was like this one place
Hmm.
in, like a 10-mile radius that served pistachio ice cream, and you were able to track somebody down there.
For sure. And it can also just be like you remind me of other stories that you've told me. Like, remember that time I told you about blah blah blah? Or, you know, bad with my examples. Yeah, for sure. I like that. Kind of like things like if I actually paid attention to what you were saying, it would be more clear.
Well, but then again, why would a hotshot young detective such as yourself pay attention to an old Chinese man sitting in a park with his bird?
That's what I don't know yet. How do we know each other?
Oh, maybe I happened to be near the scene of something, and you tried to ask me some questions, and I just kind of brushed it off and said something in passing that, if you hadn't been clever, wouldn't have meant anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so ever since, you've been trying to figure it out, because it's like, wait, does this old guy actually know something, or was that just weirdness? And there's been enough similar moments since
Mm-hmm.
that you suspect there's something else.
Yeah, in that, like you said earlier that you're kind of invisible, but not to me. I always end up seeing you a little too close to when things happen, and it's just like the pieces are starting to fall together a little bit.
But honestly, who would believe you?
Right.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I'm an old Chinese man. I walk with a cane. I have my little finch, and
I pitched the idea to Giles, and or not to
Vargas or
Griffin,
the chief.
Griffith. Too many G's. And he laughed me out of his office.
as anyone would.
I
Right.
mean, who sent you in with this story? I mean, it must have been a bet, right? That's the kind of thing.
I'm telling you, Chief, there's this guy, he's everywhere. And then he just disappears.
So let me ask a quick, I guess, laser guided question for you, Clint.
Mm-hmm.
Which mob has Ricky in their pocket? Is it the triad that Huang works for, or is it this new operation that Vargas is involved with?
I think it's the same one. And which you said it was the triad?
Yeah, so the one Puckett's character works for.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What mob is this? This is Clint asking.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be any. It could be the mafia proper, or something a bit more left field. I think if we want to stick with the source material, the mafia makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Could also be an Irish mob.
It could, yeah.
Irish mob? I like the Irish mob.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So, let's imagine that Ricky has done a little bit of homework, right? Digging into details and tracking stuff down. Like, what's the roadblock he's come up against that might make him think, hey, maybe Huang knows a thing or two about this guy.
Um, I kind of wonder if maybe like there's like he's the first person I kind of go to street level wise. Like I may talk to other cops or whatever, but if I just don't know where to start, I'll just kind of go over to him. There's a food truck there at the park, and I always go there and get a really big sloppy lamb gyro. I go and I sit down next to him and eat my gyro and just talk at him almost. Like he doesn't often like reply to me until he finally just starts uh, telling his story.
Yeah. Um, okay.
Was
So
that the answer to your question?
yeah, I mean, I guess if you got, I mean, I guess you're just getting nowhere and you're going, well, maybe I just need to start from scratch and
I mean,
talk to that
it's
old guy. It always works
I,
before.
I just woke up. It's lunchtime. I have to start doing this. Let's just go ahead and get my euro. Hey, there's my guy.
Yeah, that works for me. So I imagine Puckett that Huang will very quickly spot Ricky appear. Maybe still looking a little bit sleepy or bleary-eyed, digging into his euro. Is this a signal for you to stick around and wait, or to sigh and roll your eyes, or what's your reaction when you see this guy?
I don't have a particular reaction one way or another. I'm here with my bird. If he wishes to talk, it's a public park and there's space on the bench.
Yeah, I totally come over and I sit right down and I just say, "Hey, Peter. I never took the time to learn your real name. I just go by your added American name." No, got nothing. You ever heard of a man named Giles?
I scatter some more seed to the birds in front of me.
I wipe my mouth with my tie. And I say, "Okay, what's your bird's name?"
I do not know. He never introduced himself.
Looks like a Charlie to me. I'm gonna call him Charlie. What does Charlie know about Giles?
I scatter some more seed and some crumbs.
I mean, I don't know what to do. Is there a way I can like so I have interrogate. Can I interrogate him? I don't know how that's supposed to kind of work. You're muted.
Sorry. So with interrogation, right, you've got 3 specialties that you could take:
Oh,
drugs,
I see. Yeah.
physical, psychological.
So I'm not gonna actually physically intimidate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cool.
But I guess just chatting to people is a light interview.
Mm-hmm.
Is probably what's going on here, right? I would say, if Huang is going to give you the information, he's going to give it to you in his own time, right? But if he wants to resist or hold something back, then that could be an opposed role, right?
I think what Peter's doing is he's so used to you showing up and monologuing at him that he's waiting for the monologue because you're asking questions, and that's a little unusual.
Okay. Okay, I don't.
So then what you think? Yeah, I guess in the past, right? You've been maybe with that taken into account. Maybe you've just been talking, and then when you leave a sufficiently large pause in the monologue, Huang, gives you his piece of wisdom. Does that sound right to you, Clint?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure like if we're like what we're doing exactly right now. I mean, yeah, like I feel like it, he would eventually just kind of shut me up.
We can skip to that part if you'd like.
Sure, because I don't have really
Okay.
a monologue plan per se, so
that's okay.
So yeah, I mean, why don't you just describe the kind of gist of your monologue, and then
yeah, okay, so I'm just kind of like I start making up really crazy ideas of who I think Giles could be. Like he's an Elvis impersonator, or he's like actually the big boss of this whole new mob in this city that actually doesn't exist. I'm just making this up just to see if Peter reacts to anything. I asked him if Giles is actually the guy who makes my euros, and he's been right in front of me this whole time.
I think after about 10, 15 minutes of this, my pockets are empty. I don't have any more seed. I don't have any more bread crusts.
I don't have any more euro.
And I say, it is a sign that someone has respect for their elders when they bring them a gift.
Do you want a euro? I can go get you one.
The next time you come to talk to me, you should come with bread crusts. There's a place that sells day-old bread.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what the bakery is.
Any flavor? Oh.
Well, certainly not bleached white bread. That's not good for birds.
Okay.
Something with seeds.
Okay.
And I will get the cage and the finch down, collect my cane, and I will limp off.
Okay. So I round up my trash, and as I'm walking back to my car, I throw it in towards the trash can, and it completely misses, and I just keep right on walking, even though I could have easily just picked up the trash and put it in the waste paper basket.
And are we? Is Huang's advice like, oh, the place you get this bread in will be a front for the Irish mob? Is that what we're saying? Is that this particular type of bread you get in the neighborhood is pretty unusual?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm, or don't tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like the code you were trying to send to me is that there's a bakery that has that is well known for its whole grain breads. Perhaps a Jewish bakery with their marble rise. Is that bleached? I don't know.
I mean, basically, he told you the name of the bakery.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So
Missed that one.
you know exactly which bakery to go to get these bread crusts. And the funny thing about it is, it's not the kind of place that you would ever think twice about it. You could walk past it and never notice it. It's one of those neighborhood fixtures. It's the storefront that's just so aggressively hyper normal that it's invisible.
Like any good front would be.
Okay, so I feel like we should cut to a scene of Ricky at that bakery or scoping it out or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah. What is this place called?
Let's call it Lawson's.
Good name. So I pull up, just walk right in. The bell rings. Bing. I go and I pull one of those little number tabs.
I mean, I think this is the kind of personal service that that they've got all this stuff, but the whoever's behind the counter looks up at you and you take the number, but they're never going to ask for it, right? They're just going
Right.
to know where you are in the line, and woe betide anyone who tries to to usurp the natural order. So I think I'm gonna lean into the stereotype and say, like, there's a red-haired middle-aged woman behind the counter. Um, her name is Bernie. What can I do for you? You can kind of see her, right, like, weigh you up, and she's about to say officer, but she doesn't. You're not that long out of uniform, so maybe she can spot that. But
yeah, I ask for some bread that is not bleached and has a lot of seeds in it.
Well, I mean, I don't know who bleaches bad bread. I know it's pretty common, but we don't. No, we don't.
And I'm like walking around and I'm trying to peek through the back door a little bit if it's open.
Yeah. So, I guess you see a lot of stock, right, in the back, and I think it's probably well past time for there to be any bakery going on back there, but it looks like a working kitchen, right? There's a couple of people talking, right? Um, one of them, um, one of them's dressed in, standard baker's gear. Looks like they pulled a shift on the other person that's just like dressed in regular street clothes.
Okay. I introduced myself. I say, my name's Ricky. What's your name? I try to turn on a little bit of charm.
I'm Bernie. I run the place, obviously.
All right. So Bernie, I'm looking for a guy named Giles. Does that name mean anything to you?
Giles, huh?
Yeah, with a G.
With a G. I mean, this might be a good time to think about interrogation. Obviously,
Okay.
it's really friendly, right?
Yeah.
Nothing overt, but yeah, I guess it's you're reading her response, right?
Or more intimidation.
Okay. I mean, you can do that if you want. Yeah. I mean, it didn't sound like you were being intimidating, right?
Yeah.
But,
Okay. Well. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
But you can certainly say, if she knows you're a cop and you're asking questions, then there's a certain intimidatory value there. But I'll let you decide how you want to run it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with interrogation and intimidation, like they can be so close together sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the breakdown of like, it says interrogation's either physical, it's drugs, physical, or psychological, or is it physiological? Intimidation is business, political, or street.
Yeah. I mean, I would say for interrogation, right, the key thing is you're getting information out of someone that
Right.
they don't want to give you. Whereas,
I mean, that's what it is. It's like I'm asking her for information.
Yeah.
Which is an interrogation.
Okay, so to open the dice room, should be a.
Where's the link for that?
Oh, there's a link in the rules tab just above the column L.
Ah, there it is.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna say this is just average difficulty. Like she doesn't want to tell you, but it's not like she is a professional or prepared for the surprise answer. So she might give something away without necessarily telling you, right? So let's make it standard difficulty. So that's 0. Okay. So that modifier is subtracted or added to your die roll. So what you're rolling is 2d6, and you're trying to get equal to or less than your stat plus skill. So interrogation is mind or soul, depending on the situation. So
this would be.
So is this?
Mind.
So I guess the question, right, is this to do with your mental capacity, intelligence, or is this more about spirit or willpower? So
that's a good point. I mean, I feel like I'm definitely trying to like be nice to her and charm her into answering my question.
Yeah. That would have been my take too. So I would
which
say
is a soul.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get a 5 plus my.
So your soul is 5, and your interrogation is
3.
3.
2. Sorry. 3. Yes. Sorry.
3. So that gives you a target number of 8. So you're trying to roll 8 or lower on 2d6.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So that the higher your skills and stats, the easier it is.
So cool. I got an 8.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, equal. I think. So the like the degree of success is also something that kind of bakes in, right? So
yeah,
depending on how much you beat the target number by, but this is marginal, right? Still a success, but I imagine like she like shakes her head and says no, I don't know, but you kind of see her body language is such that she kind of stands in the way of, like, she's moving around doing stuff, right? So it's not like it's completely obvious, but she is standing in between you and the door. She's like hiding what's back there, right?
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, so she obviously knows who it is, and she obviously is slightly protective, or something about him or the business that he's in, right?
Okay. So I kind of like just start to like move a little closer to her, but in like a really nice, like, hey, just kind of calm way, and try to like peek over her to see if I could see a little bit more about what's behind her without making it look like I'm, like
Sure.
jumping
Yeah.
over her
Yeah.
to see, still trying to play it cool.
Okay. So I think you see the pair of guys in the back room chat for another minute, and then like they shake hands, and the guy dressed in everyday clothes goes out the back, right? And then Bernie is getting your order ready, right? So she's kind of double tasking, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So that's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you get a good look at him, like you recognize him again. It's not this guy Giles, but like the information is certainly he is involved in that, right?
Can I grab the bread and I say something mildly sexist towards her, just to, like, call her a doll or something like that?
Okay.
And I go outside real quick and I see the guy walking. Or can I see the guy walking? Or has
Yeah.
he
I mean,
disappeared?
I think it's probably a situation where he's gone at the back door, and maybe there's like a side street down there, and you've got to walk out and orient yourself to catch up with him.
Yeah, I definitely want to try to like catch up and just say like, hey, you, come here.
Okay.
That's what I want to try and do.
Sure. So, I mean, this sounds to me like urban tracking, right?
Yeah, I would.
And I think you have a specialty in underworld, so that gives you a bonus, right? So
one.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit tricky, right? So I think a -1. No, sorry, a +1 penalty.
Okay.
In that you've got a bit of distance and you don't know where he's heading, so
Right.
you got to take some kind of a chance, right?
I just have to pick a way and go with it.
Yeah, exactly. So that means you're going to roll dice and add 1 to it, and you are looking for. You're pretty good at this. 8, 9, 10.
So I need lower than a 10.
Yeah. So when you roll, you add 1 to the result, and then you're looking for a 10 or lower.
Gotcha. Here we go. It's a 9.
Okay. So it's a 10 on the money again, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's cut over to Juan.
Right?
Cool. So what kind of frame of mind has this conversation with Ricky put you in? Is this something on your radar? When he's talking about the Irish mob moving in on your territory.
I think it's put me in a hungry frame of mind. And I'm curious, is it stretching too much to say that there's a hot dog stand on that block that has great hot dogs?
Doesn't seem like it. I think there's a lunch crowd out, right? So
I support any food vendor on any corner at any time. That's just a Clint adding that as a possible world building thing.
There will be some kind of a stall or van on every street corner at all times. Cool. Yeah. So this is looking at the bakery, or looking at where Ricky is going to track this guy down, or somewhere in between.
Would it be too much to suggest that I got the hot dog, and that one of the reasons why Ricky was able to track him so easily is because he ran into me and knocked me over?
Okay.
and of course knocked in rabbit ears. It just looks like he bumped into an old Chinese man, and I fell down and started cursing at him in Cantonese. So it's drawing some attention.
Yeah, so I think you go the wrong way, right, Ricky? On a
Totally.
10,
Totally.
right? You pick the wrong way first, and then you hear then the alternate way that seemed less likely to you somehow. You hear a voice berating whoever this old guy is, right? Watch where you're stepping, grandpappy, or whatever it is.
How dare you say such a thing to an elder, you disrespectful lout? Have you no shame?
Listen, pal, you can't take up the whole sidewalk.
I am small. You clumsy oaf. How is there so much sidewalk and you choose to walk into me?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Do you at least have the manners to help an old man up?
And I think he kind of sniffs, and you can kind of see I think he's like annoyed because he has mustard on his clothes now, right? From when you bumped into him, and he goes, "Oh, sure," and he like bends over to take an arm to help you back in your feet. But I think maybe in the middle of that, he kind of steps on your hot dog, which is fallen to the ground.
That was both my lunch and my dinner. How are you so clumsy?
And I think he like pulls a money, like a fold of notes out of his pocket and just like shoves a $5 bill into your breast pocket and says, "Next one on me, pops." I think that's when Ricky arrives.
I come running around the corner. I'm like, and then oh, hey, you. And I like yell at him. I was like, I want to talk to you. So
This young man? He's been a great assistance to me today.
Peter? What are you doing here?
Who are you?
It's Ricky.
How do you know my name? And with the eye that is not visible to him, I wink.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. I had you confused with someone else. Sorry. So is that guy still standing there?
Yeah, he is looking as confused as you probably intended.
Okay. Yeah. So I point to that guy and I'm like, "Do you work at the bakery?"
What bakery?
The one I just followed you out of.
You followed me?
Yeah.
Out of what bakery?
Lawson's. What were you doing there?
I was in the back talking to an old friend.
What's your old friend's name?
Who the fuck are you, pal?
Who the fuck are you, pal? And I pull out my badge.
Okay.
This is who the fuck I am, pal.
Well, that guy was still none of your fucking business, pal.
I'm gonna grab him by the arm. He's now made a police officer mad.
He was almost going to tell you, but then like no, why would he?
Yeah, things don't always de-escalate the way they should.
No.
Can I?
What? Like I can't have a private conversation? This is that's against my rights. I can have a private conversation anywhere I want. You can't arrest me for having a private conversation.
Answer my question. What's his name, and I'll let you go.
What's whose name?
The guy you were talking to.
What guy?
The guy in the bakery.
The guy in the bakery?
Yeah.
Like
You
you're
just said you were
investigating
there.
crimes in bakeries now?
Well, follow the dough, they say.
Haha. I'm sure they never heard that joke before.
Yeah, you like that one? I made that
You're
up
funny.
myself.
You're funny. You're a comedian?
I am, actually. Thank you for asking. I'm gonna interrogate, I think I'm gonna interrogate again.
Okay. So are you gonna get a bit physical or?
Yeah, I've got his arm and I'm pushing him up against the wall. His face is kind of like. So, what am I looking at here?
So, so I think this is slightly difficult.
Yeah.
Like you might be, you're applying some pressure, but like there's an old guy here. He knows you're not. I mean, he knows that you're not going to do anything serious to him with another witness, right? Little does he know. So
I'm still applying some pain.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this a +1 difficulty.
Okay. And interrogation's a 3. And this is going to be with body, so it's a 6. All right. Got a 6.
Okay, cool. So that's pretty healthy, right?
Yeah.
It's a healthy difference. And, I think for him, he's going like, oh, it's just a name. Like, what's the big deal? And like you apply the pressure and he's going like, Jesus, man, you could just like check the deeds. It's like, that's Dermot Lawson. He owns the place.
Okay, so I let go of him. I'm like, well, I'll do that. I'll check the deeds. And I grab his wallet out of his back in the same motion, and I look at his ID to find out his name. What's his name?
So his name is Jim Flaherty.
I'm like, all right, Jim Flaherty. I got your address. If you're wrong, I'm coming back for you.
You're coming back for me. I'm scared.
You should be.
Young man, do you not know that the police should be accorded respect?
The police? These pigs? I don't think so. Maybe where you come from, but not where
I'm just going to slap him right across the face.
I think that gets his attention, right? Huh.
You know nothing of where I come from. But in my country, we respect our elders. We help police officers. We try to make our community a better place.
Listen, my friends are just trying to make good bread. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it or something. I don't know. Am I free to go?
I'm going to slap him again.
And he kind of, he like points at you and he's like, he is not used to getting hit. And I think it's like the double measure of there's a cop right there and you are an old guy, right? So he does not feel comfortable with hitting you back like he thinks he ought to.
Be respectful, young man.
Officer, this guy just assaulted me. What are you going to do about that?
I didn't see anything.
Huh. That's the way it's going to be, huh?
Now you apologize to this officer. He's trying to keep the streets safe so that your friend can do his business without being robbed.
Am I free to go, officer?
Yeah, you're free to go.
I think he like wipes some of the remains off his hot dog off the side of his shoe, like in disgust before he walks off. And it's like he is not looking at Ricky. He is looking at Huang, right, with a kind of a look in his eye that says, Next time, old man.
And I'm just like grinning like an idiot after watching him just get smacked by Kong. Excuse me.
Cool.
It's a disrespect.
I know, right? It's the worst.
Well, now I must go replace the hot dog that he stepped on when he knocked me over. But I see you found the bakery. Did you get crumbs for my birds?
I did. And I hand him the loaf of bread that I've been carrying around for the last few minutes. It's kind of broken up a lot because I was running and it may have hit the wall a couple of times.
I'm sure the birds will be most appreciative. They're getting pre-crumbled bread.
I'm here to protect and serve.
Always remember, just because a thing does not do what you think it should, does not mean that it has no value.
I look at him very confused. Cool. I offer him a ride home. I say, "Do you need a ride home? I don't even know where you live."
No, I much prefer to walk. I miss it. These cities, they're spread so far apart that when I was young, when I was your age, I would walk everywhere.
You still do, apparently.
As much as I can. Someday, I won't be able to take another step. And then I will value every step I've taken. But thank you, officer.
You're welcome. I want to go back to my car, and I want to try to follow him, like whichever way he goes, because I really want to find out where he lives or where he goes.
This guy, Flaherty.
No, Peter.
Oh, okay.
Because why was he at the bakery? He just eluded me to go find. I mean, he was a block and a half away. Yet again, another suspicious moment.
Definitely. So what do you think is Huang, careful when he goes home?
Under these circumstances, I'm totally going stealth.
Okay. So, this sounds like a contested role between two. I guess these kind of usually happen in combat, but they work the same way in this regard, right? So, so I guess Ricky's tracking is a role that will go first, and then if he succeeds, then Huang will have a role on stealth to kind of avoid detection, right? So, so I think this is still urban tracking underworld, right? Just as we had to track the other guy.
And I'm in my car. Can I use my driving skill as any sort of?
No, it'll be one roll on urban tracking, right?
These don't get cumulative. I can't keep adding.
No, you can't. You can't double up skills.
Okay. I almost feel like the car should be a penalty in this case. You can be a whole lot more mobile on foot and have a whole lot more places you can go.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like. It'll be, But again, you're slow, right? So if he needs to double back or whatever, of course, if you're going down, alleyways or whatever that he can't drive down, that's another thing. But I tend to leave that up to the roll to kind of
Gotcha.
Cool.
Shake out.
So I'm gonna roll.
So let's just make this a flat roll.
I got a 9.
A 9. Okay, which is okay. It is a success. Yeah, cool. Okay. So yeah, I think Puckett, why don't you narrate what he sees, and then the moment you try to shake him, and then you can make your roll.
Oh, I'm just limping along down the street, and I turn down an alley, and there's a dumpster in the alley that makes it just a little too narrow for even a car from the 60s to get down.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things if I get too far down that alley, it's going to be hell to try to find out where I went, because there's at least 3 ways it breaks.
Okay, cool. So when you make your roll, your stealth is body. I guess that is usually, yeah, I guess that is maybe because you're walking a long way, you gotta, I guess it becomes kind of a endurance kind of feat, right? To pick your moment and to make sure you're not where he is. So
it's 2d6, 6 or less?
6 or less, yeah.
Well, not going to happen. I rolled a 6 on the first one.
Okay. So why don't you roll the other one, and let's see how much. Okay. So
that's a 9 total.
Not terrible, but okay. So I think that might mean that it's not terrible. So maybe it's probably too late when you realize that he has successfully tracked you, right? So he does find out where you live, and maybe you're going up or down the steps when you see his car out of the corner of your eye, and even if you were to kind of pull out, you don't think you'd fool him this time, right? Does that make sense?
Probably not. But it's a 6-story building.
Yeah, and probably subdivided to within an inch of its life, right?
I right when he walks in the door, I pull up to the front of the door and we look at each other, and I say, I just wanted to make sure you got home all right. I give him a little grin and I drive off. After making note of the address, obviously.
Yeah. Cool. So, I think that's a good place to stop the scene and maybe fast forward to the day after or whatever, unless anyone else wants to add something.
I think I want to go pull the jacket on Flannery. Go back to the precinct and just to see if that guy has a sheet.
Yeah. So
that'll be the same day.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty clear he is part of the same crew as this Giles guy, right? So and again, probably a little bit less slick than Giles, in that he does have a rap sheet. It's probably spent some time inside, so probably just a regular foot soldier.
Cool. And I also want to look into who actually owns the building, if it is Lawson who actually has his name on the deed and the business accounts and that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's probably something that probably takes a while, right? So you probably have to go to City Hall and get the actual
internet's
paperwork.
Not there.
But I think when this guy Flannery said, yeah, check the deeds, he just meant in like he wasn't making a legal statement. He was just saying it's their place, right? So technically, he's probably not proven correct, right? It's probably owned by someone else and they're renting, or maybe there's a shell structure in place to hide who's owning it, right? But the research part will probably have to wait.
So a montage of me hunting and pecking at a typewriter.
Yeah.
Because our precinct
or maybe I mean probably like more like in the late 90s, probably looking at big thick books or going through microfiche or whatever it is.
Yeah,
passes for arcane research skills.
Montage of research through paperwork and hating it.
How about you, Puckett? Anything you want to add to that scene at the end of the night?
Normally I wait to get that special order, but I heard the guy's name.
Yeah.
And I've put the word out amongst our network of contacts, and it's a different kind of research, but it's similar. So I have an address on Flaherty. And I'm just going to go keep an eye on his place through the scope of a high-powered rifle. Just observing. But it's dark out there and I'm kitted out for it. So I'm on a rooftop half a block away. He's not looking for anything like that. And I can just keep an eye on things.
So I think you have probably scoped out the place.
No pun intended.
Well, it's not going to be a pun at some stage. And he comes in late, right? So you have there's a certain point in time where you wonder, do I have the right place? No matter how good your sources, sometimes they're wrong, or sometimes he could be staying somewhere else, right? But he comes in the door and chucks his keys in a bowl, and you can kind of see all of this right through the narrow apartment window. I wonder what do you see, like, now that you see him interacting with his place when he's alone, right? Like what tells you that he has really very little self-discipline? Something that you kind of saw earlier, right, in your run in behind the bakery, but like here it's not an act, it's just like how he is. Paint the scene.
You mean besides the pile of empty pizza boxes next to the television set? Besides the stack of beer cans next to the couch? Besides the fact that not only is his bed not made, it doesn't even have a blanket on it. It's just a sheet and like this pillow that's stained brown and yellow. I mean, he's got clothes all over the place. There's dishes piled up in the sink that obviously haven't been washed in about 2 weeks. There's a couple of paper plates on this little coffee table in front of the television, and he spends 5 minutes searching for the TV remote.
That about does it, right? So some leftover pizza and some beer, and finally the TV comes on. So it's definitely not. I mean, I guess some foot soldiers don't need to be disciplined or smart or anything like that, but
if he worked for my employers, he probably would be at the bottom of one of the Great Lakes at this point.
Is that just because he'd have upset someone, or because he's made some mistake or other, or both?
He probably would have upset someone, but more to the point, he drew attention to himself, and in very public ways. You know, one of the advantages I have is that I'm overlooked. People ignore me. And when I get angry, it's just literally an old man yelling at something. But when he gets angry, it draws attention.
Okay, cool. So, what's your plan for the rest of the night? Are you gathering info, or just, is this prep for when you have to do something more?
Oh, 2 moments here. Let me see what kind of equipment I have on me. Yeah, I'm going to mess with him.
Okay.
Because I've got some electronics gear on me. Got that black box decoder and a remote control. So I'm going to move from where I'm stationed, from where I'm positioned, over to his roof. And I'm basically just going to use the remote to start messing with it. Start changing the channels, turn the TV off, switch it to one of those channels where it's just nothing but static.
Okay. So the remote control auto ignition is usually used for cards, right?
Well, that's why I was saying the black box decoder as well.
Yeah. So, but I think it's fun enough to say that you can have rigged this to be like a universal remote, right? At least it's funny. So how paranoid are you making him, right? Is this like change his channel and then wait till he changes it back and just keep changing it, or?
It's less that and more that I want him to try to switch over to using the antenna, at which point I can mess with the antenna and bring him up to the roof.
Okay. If it's in an apartment, it's like, I don't know how likely it is that he's going to go up to the roof, but
the Indians are on. You think he's going to want to miss the Cleveland game?
So what are you trying to get him up to the roof?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say if you're messing with him to this extent, it is electronics, right? I think.
Oh, sure.
Electronics looks like the most apt skill in here to be getting a result. So, so I think it's probably a flat difficulty.
Okay.
You got some special equipment, but it's really you're trying to steer him in a direction. If you like you see he's watching the match of the game, and you're trying to prompt him into a certain action. Okay. So
I need to hit 8 or under, correct?
Yeah, so it's your mind plus electronics. So
I don't have any points in electronics.
Let me see if the kit gives you a benefit. I suspect it'll be more like if you don't have the kit, it's a penalty. Let me check.
Okay, so this is weird. I'm using the roll with me XYZ room, and it just re-rolled the exact same numbers.
I got 6 and 3 again as well.
And that's what popped up for me.
Maybe you just delete them and try a fresh set.
Okay.
I know a few weeks ago I was using a room and I got the same result 3 times in a row.
Okay, there's a 5 and a 1.
Possible, but
so I just got a 5 and a 5, 2 and a 2, 5 and a 1, 6 and a 3.
okay.
I don't know.
Sorry, so I am looking at the equipment. Looking at black box. Okay, yeah. So it says normally it'd be an easy or extremely easy check due to the device's capabilities. Okay, so that means you have a bonus of -1, let's say.
Well, I rolled a 7, so.
Okay. So it's definitely, so it becomes a 6 with the -1, and that is a difference of 2. So that is pretty good. Minor success. So yeah, I mean, it takes a while, right? And like because he's lazy, he does not want to go to the roof to mess around with it. So he tries like switching it at the box underneath the TV, but you keep hitting it anyway. So it's not like the remote control is broken and he tries changing the batteries, and like it's like an hour, maybe not an hour, maybe half an hour of him struggling, and then finally, like, it goes into the second quarter or whatever, and you just can't miss any more of the match. So he does. He does make it to the roof, and you can kind of see him wandering around because maybe he hasn't been up here before. He's not entirely sure where his aerial is, so he is casting around for where it is for a while before he spots it.
And I'll just step up behind him. Put the pistol to his head and say,
sorry, are you not on a different roof?
Oh, that's what I said. I moved over to his rooftop.
Okay. Okay. So that would mean you would have been like plugging into his aerial up here to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I missed that. Okay. So let's. I guess this seems like a stealth check, right?
And it's basically just staying out of sight while he like stomps up here angry.
Yeah, so this is you hiding, right? You're concealing yourselves in just the right point so that you can ambush him, right?
Yep.
So I'll say again, he's probably been drinking, and he's pissed off. So I'm gonna make it pretty easy. So a -2 on your dice roll.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a 3 on the dice.
Almost as good as it gets. Yeah. So why don't you describe exactly what he's doing when he feels the cold barrel of the silencer on the back of his neck?
He's cussing at the antenna. Like it, and it is really inventive. I mean, it is a feat of swearing, the likes of which really only is approached by USMC drill instructors in the 1960s. And he's hunched over and he's looking at it and he's just cursing about how the thing seems like it's working and what the hell, it's pointed in the right direction. Why can't it? And then all of a sudden, the pistol at the neck.
And, I think he knows what this means, right? And he is not a fool, as foolish as he may seem. So he stiffens and but there's not even a moment where you think he's likely to try to make a move, right? And his hands just show themselves either side of his body, um, and he doesn't say anything. He just waits for it.
So I
Whenever
throw
you're
some
gonna,
gravel in my voice and say, "Where's Giles?"
so he breathes out. He and exactly what he's thinking that he could say. You've heard it all before, and I think he knows that, right? So he's going to be in town for another week before he's got to make a trip. I don't know where he lives, but he'll call me when he needs me.
Face down.
And I imagine that a rooftop like this is going to be pretty shitty in terms of the what's on the ground, but he does not hesitate. He just gets down. The pizza stains on his t-shirt now have company.
Count to 100. I see you move before then. You're dead.
And yeah. So when he finally gets to 100, I think he's scared enough that he's not gonna try to get up before that. What kind of what traces of Huang's passage or presence here is he going to see?
You think he's going to see any?
Well, I mean,
this is not old man move.
Yeah, but there might be a footprint or something. You could it's totally valid to say nothing, right?
Yeah, there's nothing up here. This is about as if Ricky came up here with a forensics team, they would say it looked like the place had been professionally cleaned of all evidence. So,
okay.
And if they wanted to try to find a boot print, they might be able to get one, but it'd just be your average garden variety work boot that you can buy at literally any Home Depot in the country.
Cool.
So.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
I thought that guy was going to die.
Very true. Okay.
And make him miss the 9th inning? What kind of monster does that?
Cleveland.
But they were good in the mid to late 90s.
Fair.
Okay, cool. So not quarters then, innings, I should have said earlier.
Yeah.
You said a team name, and I obviously thought it might be something other than baseball, but I don't know my baseball teams. Okay, so I think we want to maybe quick closing scene or kind of a scene to get us into the next stage of the story from each of you to close out the session. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay. How about we start with Ricky? kind of next stages. I know we've had kind of the research montage already, but something else maybe.
Excuse me. I'm not sure. I feel like right now Ricky's kind of doing two things. He's looking into all the paperwork and all the boring stuff that he's supposed to do to help follow up this case, but he's also started to look into whoever this guy is who is called Peter. That's all he knows. So he's he's gone back to his chief Griffin to throw out the idea that there's this older man who is possibly a hired assassin with super martial arts skills, and it sounds really cheesy when he explains it, but it's not incorrect. It's such an outlandish idea that there's this high-tech, super stealthy ninja in Cleveland. And I think it's this 70-year-old. How old are you?
70-something.
Yeah, this
Hard to tell.
70-something year. Hey, we're about to get loud. Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, I don't know where you get all these ideas, Ricky, but every old Asian guy is not a ninja. It's just yeah, I don't know. I think you need to.
I know that, but it's just there's this something about this guy. Yeah, so it's Ricky getting made fun of in the break room.
Yeah.
At the precinct. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at now, and also like how about the next day? Are we doing like early next day or end of day?
Yeah, you can do early next day stuff as well. Yeah.
Early next day, I'm not even gonna go into the precinct. I'm just gonna go right to Flannery's house. I'm gonna go back and confront him again about the things that were in his jacket. I'm gonna kind of use those to kind of like re-intimidate him again.
Okay, cool.
Because I don't think he was completely honest with me.
Definitely not.
So.
Okay, yeah. And how about for Huang? Any closing scene?
Well, my initial thought was that I would go sit at the park and wait for Ricky to show up, figuring that he would probably do so. But given those scenes, I think Flaherty doesn't live that far away. I could very conceivably be walking around the neighborhood with my bird, see him again, and see Ricky and sitting in the car, and just like walk up and on the opposite side, of course, and rap on the window, probably startling the hell out of you, maybe spilling some coffee in your lap.
Sorry, dog's being real loud. Yeah, actually, like you startled me, and some ketchup from the hamburger I'm eating in my car gets on my shirt. Every single one of my shirts has a stain on it of some sort.
Officer, I see that you appear to be on a what is it the crime shows call it? A stakeout?
Yeah, you wanna jump in? I'll show you a thing or two about police surveillance.
I'm old. I have no time for such things.
That means you do have time for things, right? You're old. What else are you gonna do?
I have a job, officer. I cook.
Where do you work?
At a Chinese restaurant around the way. Come by. I'll make some special egg drop soup for you.
What's the dish that you said was the the code for
The special cashew chicken.
cashew. Ricky's like, I love cashew chicken. Just a complete coincidence.
Well, I can make some of that for you instead then.
Excellent.
What are you doing here?
I'm like, well, you have to get in. I'll tell you.
I cannot sit down. I am on my way to work. If I sit down now, it will take me 15 minutes to get back up.
You see that building right there?
Yes,
that guy yesterday that you slapped in the face, which was hilarious, by the way. He's holding out information. He lives here. I am waiting to see where he goes when he wakes up.
So you're going to, what is it? What did Jim Rockford call it? Tail him?
Yeah, the same way I tailed you last night.
I'm not a suspect. You said you wanted to make sure I saw my way home.
And I made sure you got home safely.
You were surveilling me.
I made sure you got home safely. Either you get in or you keep moving. You're going to blow my cover right now, man.
The stains on your shirts will do that quickly enough. But that man, he knows more than he says.
What?
Be careful.
Yeah.
And be quiet. And don't let him see you. In other words, pray he is not me. Good day, officer.
You kind of make me laugh as I'm drinking from my straw of Coke, and I'm like, yeah, man.
I'll just walk on.
Cool.
Okay. I think that that promise shall be fulfilled, I'm sure, next week.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Ricky's like still playing at I think you're this weird old dude, but in the front of my head I'm thinking this guy's actually really dangerous. This guy being Peter.
Cool. Yeah, I think we can wrap up now unless anyone wants to add anything before we stop.
No, this is really cool.
Yeah. So I'll stop recording and we'll do stars and wishes afterwards.